up, everybody? Yeah, back again, another episode. Today we have a guest, a guy that I used to train with back in Ireland, a very dear friend of mine, a guy who's been through it all, come out clean on the other side. I met Graham back, I think it was maybe 2010. We became very good friends through training, through fighting. He made mincemeat out of me in the gym on a regular basis, a true inspiration in relation to fighting and how to carry yourself, and especially how you deal with problems and adversity and come out, as I said, clean on the other side. He is absolutely killing it right now, and it was a pleasure to talk to him today. So enjoy the podcast, and give me your feedback. Let me know what you think of this. Thank you. All right, we're here with Graham McCormack. Graham McCormack is a former training partner of mine in the boxing clinic. Some good times up in Douglas. And I just reached out this week and decided to try and get him on the podcast. And he respectfully accepted, and here we are. Graham, how you doing, man?
I'm doing unbelievably.
That's
all the better for seeing your face, dude.
Haha, that's great to hear, man. You look fantastic, man. You're looking good.
Nice, I appreciate it.
Awesome. So we met at the boxing clinic. We were training partners from the very beginning. I think I started. I think I had a 3 or 4 month head start on you, and you came in and you joined the jiu-jitsu class, and with no experience, just made mincemeat out of us. It was just a natural talent, you know what I mean?
I'd say it was, I think martial arts in general is something that, obviously I started late, I was 19, nearly 20 at that point. No martial arts before, no nothing, just typical young Irish lad, street leagues, here and there, and that kind of stuff, like, go on in there and pop the ball and all that, and I was like, but never done boxing or anything like that, and I hopped in, and I think from day one it was just like, and I don't mean this in kind of an egotistical way, it's just like, I wasn't even trying, it just happened, you know what I mean? And then that really made me understand what someone who's natural at something is. You don't even have to try intentionally, it just kind of happens. And I just took to, I suppose, every aspect of it really, you know what I mean? But jiu-jitsu I absolutely loved. I was just amazed by that. I was like, hang on a minute, so there's no strikes, no nothing, right? And it goes like this. And I was like, yeah. I was like, human chess, unbelievable, love it. Never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah.
I remember actually with, remember Alex Sambo?
Yeah.
When he came in as well with the Sambo, I was just like, this is absolutely insane, and I love it. Yeah.
Unreal. That's the thing, man. I was always afraid of getting hit. That's why I stayed away from boxing. And I worked on the door in the Crane Lane with Kieran O'Brien. And, he just got his purple belt, and he set up a school, and he got recruited then to the clinic about 6 months later. So when I started in the clinic, I just saw these boxers, Muay Thai guys, MMA guys, and I'm like, I don't want to have anything. I'm just a UFC fan. I don't want that on my resume, But once I started getting the hang of takedown, essentially, takedowns, but I was pulling guard a lot when I was doing MMA sparring, which people were killing me for. Don't pull guard. You want to get it to the ground, you take them down. But then the striking starts, and then you're walking out of the gym with black eyes, you're walking out with a sore nose, a sore rib. It was intense, but it was enjoyable at the same time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously get on top and stay on top, but I was like that as well. I think that's where you have to kind of dissect things and go, okay, not all of jiu-jitsu is transferable to MMA, you know what I mean? It's just certain aspects, and I think once you start to get the grips of that and you start to actually include it in there, all that stuff goes away again, you know what I mean? And then that's where my identity came from. Once I started to learn what's transferable and what's not, it was like, oh, I'm an MMA fighter now, and I have to agree as well, and I can empathize with that. Like, I didn't want to be hit in the face at all. I was like, no. But even before I started jiu-jitsu, like, there was a lot going on in my own head, like, and outside the gym, I built up this persona of a tough guy to kind of keep people away. It was actually fear in me, and I was like trying to push people away. So, like, like the craziest person that no one would dare come near me and all that, you know what I mean? So like that actually transferred then into MMA itself. I was always kind of going, don't really want to get punched in the face here, you know, or oh, there's a kick in the ribs, I didn't know that either. And it's like, all right. And the second that I felt that, and I think everyone's the same really, is like once you start getting pinged clean enough in the face with punches or kicks, you start to realize that, hang on a minute, I'm actually not made of glass here. I can take that, you know what I mean, without crumbling or being knocked out as if that's the worst thing to ever happen to someone, you know. But didn't mind getting punched in the face after that.
You kind of build up a tolerance for it, I think, because at the beginning, the very first time you get hit in the nose, your whole face just goes the color white, you know. The transfer of energy, you're trying to figure out what just happened and at the same time defend yourself from the next punch is coming. This is where I just used to hate at the beginning, like the taste of your own iron, of your own blood in your mouth when your mouthpiece gets stuck on your gum or whatever. But that first month of sparring, like I took no boxing classes, I just went in and sparred, but I didn't know how to block a punch, I didn't know how to get out of the way of a punch, and you guys were just killing me. I had to go to work every morning with a shirt on and I looked like a drug dealer.
I remember it, Dave, I remember it.
Yeah.
For those who are listening as well, Dave is actually, you just mentioned there about, you know, when you get a clean punch to the nose and your eyes start watering and you're kind of going, what's this taste in my mouth and I can't see and stuff like that. I first got that off of you. For those who are listening, Dave is very awkward, very rangy, very, I don't know, hard to read. His punches, he's like one of Diaz brothers. His punches they come from awkward angles and you get clipped and you're like, right, alright. Okay, better do something different there now. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You know, you do build up a tolerance once you kind of get that belief. Like for me personally, it was like, I'm not made of glass here. And you build up a tolerance, and like you don't build up a tolerance like, oh, I can take one punch, oh, I'll take two, oh, I'll take three, oh, I'll take four. It's like, no, the whole point is to not get hit and hit your opponent. You know what I mean? In competitive action, obviously, softly with your training partners. Even though there was no softly in the MMA clinic.
No.
But yeah, it's just like, you know, you start to take, I feel, more chances when you're not afraid of getting hit. You know, you can kind of cut little angles in there and, you know, you can drop the hand, you can hit body shots and stuff like that. So it actually works in your favor as well, understanding that, yeah, I can take a punch or two.
Exactly, and I would use that to my advantage. I let a guy hit me, but I'll make sure that it's in the top half of my head. Like if I get hit in the jaw, you can't take too many of them. If you get hit in the nose, you're going to have a bad night. I'll take a few on the forehead, I'll dip my head and I'll come in with that overhand right, you know. But for those who don't know, this was caused by you.
I don't know what he's talking about.
It's true. Fact. You don't want me to state that fact? I won't state it, but we had a great time, like training for fights, getting ready, getting prepared, talking about strategy. The big one, obviously, every fighter can relate to the struggles of a weight cut. I mean, once you get the weight down and you've hit weight, the rest of the next 24 hours are sweet sailing. Like Rochestown Park Hotel sauna saw the worst out of us.
Every time I drive, I live practically next to it. Every time I drive past it, I'm just like, I remember being in the sauna in there. God.
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't miss. What I like, I've often chatted, you know, to Kean Smith about it. You know, Kieran Daly, all these top lads that were in our gym years ago, and just, you know, just about. I've never felt, you know, like such a camaraderie since then. You know what I mean? I've never felt such an atmosphere. I've never felt such a tight-knit group. Not to say that others are not now in what I've experienced lately, but I'm just saying it's just like, you know, it's great to reflect on it. There was such amazing times. You know, and you said there, like, that we were always working together. We were always striving to be on the same show, as opposed to, you know, one person up here, one person fighting over in England or whatever it may be. The next thing, the team is kind of separated. Like, we were all aiming for the one show. We all were in the same mindset. We're all beating the shit out of each other, having fun along the way. It's just, you know, it's you just can't put money on it. You can't put words on it at times. You just have to experience it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. They just get like this whole barbaric mentality of fighters getting in there and beating the hell out of each other. But we've acquired some amazing friendships over the last few years. Like I'm very close still with Killian O'Sullivan. Like he's the last guy I fought. The trash talk between the two of us, the back and forth messages, the camaraderie. It was so much fun, man. But you don't get that, like, you know, I guess I don't want to shit on other sports, but like when it comes to like team sports, there's not that much teamwork in like with the individual sports. Like you're the only fighter in the cage that can help you win this fight. You're the only fighter in the boxing ring. You can listen to your coaches, but sometimes you can't even hear them. And like you guys got me through my first, like the first MMA clinic fight night. You like 2-3 weeks before the fight, Jake pulled me aside and said, I don't know if you're ready for this, man. I think I might pull your fight. If I don't see drastic improvement in the next week, I'm going to pull your fight out. And I don't know, did you guys know about it? But I think for 4 straight nights, I had Shark Tank. And, you know, for anyone who doesn't know what Shark Tank is, it's 5 rounds and it's you're in for 5 rounds and it's a fresh guy every round. So by the time you get to round 4, you're bollocksed and you're fighting a guy whose job it is to take your head off. And for some reason, you were always guy number 5 and, you didn't lay back. You didn't let me do anything, but I could hear you in my ear saying, come on, Dave, get up, get up, get up. You were always unbelievably motivating for me. Like, and that's a time where you said at the beginning, I was incredibly lost. I just broke up with my girlfriend. I had 2 years of what I didn't know what to do with my time. Now I'm a single guy. And I spent a lot of my time at the boxing clinic or the MMA clinic. And, you know, you guys were pretty much there for me every single night, motivating me, asking me questions. When is my next fight? What's the weight? What's your strategy? And I just remember in particular the 4 or 5 guys that we would just all spar together, create this amazing relationship and beat the heads off each other every night.
Yeah.
Flawless.
And I think that, like, Dave, I think that, like, one is, like, people judge because they don't understand. And you're not going to understand if you let judgment get in the way. So people who are calling the sport barbaric are the ones who will never attempt it. They'll sit on the sidelines and judge. And look, it's not all, you know, bashing the sport and whatever. It's just that I think the majority of people just don't really understand. You know what I mean? They're like, you go in, you spar, you beat the shit out of each other, and then you hug afterwards and have conversations, deep conversations about life and where you're going with your life in the future. I'm like, yeah. Like, you don't hate each other. I'm like, no, not at all. Not in the slightest. In fact, I love these people, you know? Yeah. It's just that they don't get it, you know? And I just wish that there was less judgment around the sport, and I think the sport is moving in that direction, apart from a certain person or two who are kind of bringing the sport down at times. Won't name names. But in general, like, I'd love to see the sport grow. I'd love to see more gyms open. I'd love to see more shows. I'd love to see, you know, people supporting more local talent as opposed to jumping the ranks and going, I support this huge superstar, but this guy who is 2 doors up from me, I don't know him, I don't like him. You know what I mean? I think the sport itself is growing, definitely. Yeah. You know, and if we could just drop the judgment around it, and if people actually will allow themselves to experience it and experience what we had in the clinic, I think it would be a huge sport, you know. And I think the media doesn't do it any favors either, you know. Like, the word barbaric comes from the media outlets in general, you know what I mean, and politicians and stuff like that. Again, people who will probably never ever step foot in a gym, let alone a martial arts gym or a combat sport, you know. Yeah,
true, very true. It is a crying shame. But like, from that whole experience comes our friendship, the friendship of the training partners that we had. You know, seeing everyone's journey. There's a few that have gone on, and you know, you got like Darren O'Gorman, Will Fury in Bellator, and it's just like, These guys are excelling now, and it's not that we're not. We just, I guess, hopped off the train, decided to do other things. But the friendships are still there. I still reach out to the guys, ask how they're doing, when's the next fight, what's your strategy, things like this. It's friendships I've acquired since 2009, 2010. You know.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Absolutely. I think we're all excelling, Dave. You know, as you said there, just in different areas. You know what I mean? You're excelling in your career and with family, you know, and I'm the same. The other lads, we're just on different paths. But I think the friendship is always kind of hidden there in the background. It'll always be there. You know what I mean? I could reach out to you in 2 years' time, be like, Dave, all right, and we'd have a full-blown conversation, and then we probably wouldn't chat again for another couple of months. You know what I mean? But it's always there, and even if like me and you, like let's say we didn't train, you know, in general, separately, different countries, you know what I mean, for 2 years, and then we suddenly met up, we'd be like, do you want to spar? Yeah, all right.
100%. You know I'll spar you at the airport.
Yeah, we probably, like, the conversation wouldn't flow, but like we'd flow in rounds, be like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
It's always going to be there, and I think that's the beauty of it. You know, you're never actually alone. It might sound cliche, but you're never alone once you're in the MMA.
Yeah.
You know, and I can only speak from the MMA, not the boxing community or jiu-jitsu community specifically, it's the MMA, you know.
Yeah. And what are you doing now, Graham? Are you training? Like, do you do any specific individual sport? Do you do any training MMA or anything like that?
I haven't done martial arts training in, I'd say, 2 years.
Okay.
I've gone more into moving my body in any way possible, whether it's running the roads, you know, there's resistance training. I have kind of popped into a couple of gyms. I popped down to Sean Tobin here and there just for sparring. When he was coming up to the fight with Richie Smullen on Bellator there a couple of years back, I was just sparring Sean once a week. You know what I mean? I was just popping down. I still do that, you know. I'm not like the way I said I'm not in martial arts. I haven't trained it. Is that I'm not joining the gym. I'm not consistently training every evening. You know, 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
But if someone needs a sparring partner in there, or if someone wants to, hey Graham, what are you doing? Do you want to get on the train? Yeah, I'll go. You know, but I think my energy has gone into more just moving my body. I'm a big believer in movement in any way, shape or form. I believe the body is always crying out to be moved, and I think the mind starts to make it cry. Be like, hey, here's this memory from 6 years ago. Oh God, I'm going running the roads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to look after mental, physical, and emotional health. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's the path you've taken, because I've seen you like kind of like silent in the background, just looking at your Facebook post over the last 3 years, man. And I can't tell you how happy I am to see you just excelling in life. And when you post something, and I'm a very good reader, like this whole fucking mask life that we're living in now, right? I'm a very good reader of facial expressions, and you can tell when someone's posting a selfie and their facial expression is crying for whatever reason is going on in their life, and it's not a real smile. But I see your posts and I'm like, this guy is smiling through his teeth, man. I just can't tell you how happy I am to see how what you've become since when I left the clinic in, I think it was 2012, and all of your experience since then up to 2017 and recovery and everything like that. It's amazingly inspiring.
I appreciate that, Dave.
Unbelievable.
Really, and I suppose on that point itself, it's like, you know, we're all human. We're all going to go through shit. We all have, you know, night turns into day turns back into night. Like, everything changes constantly. It's the cycle of life, you know what I mean? But I do believe if you can, like, for me, it's all about heartily smiling, like smiling from within, you know what I mean? We can all just like, yeah, I'm great, and you know, and it's kind of like, no, you're not really.
Yeah.
You're probably making yourself worse by faking it, because in your mind we go, oh, you're faking this, you know what I mean? But no matter what goes on, Dave, like, just the fact that I've been through so much in general, like since I left MMA, would you look at that? I left the sport, it kept me sane and well, and my life went into chaos. Oh my God.
There you go.
Yeah, but like since all that has happened, you know, I think that I've built up a lot of resilience, and you know, and I know that whatever comes up in my life, that I'm going to get through it on some level. Like, I've been to the lowest lows, and I'm like, whatever I experience from this point on can't really, should not technically bring me back that low. You know what I mean? Because there was just so much I suppose, ingredients in that recipe for disaster. You know what I mean? So I just smile, man, and I just accept what's going on in my life. I don't try and fight anything. I allow it. I feel it. I don't even try and think positively, because I hate that. Oh, think positive and all. No, it's just like, you don't have to think positive. You don't have to be positive. The only thing you have to be is a human being, and some days are not so good. You know what I mean? So I let life flow, man, and I just try and heartily smile through it all. You know what I mean? I'm not grinning in the background like a lunatic, waiting for everything to burn down. You know what I mean? I'm just like, just taking a day at a time, and I think recovery has taught me that as well. It's just a day at a time. That's all.
It's amazing, man, and like this is exactly what I'm telling my guys at the gym. Like, there's a few at the gym that are they're so good at such an early stage that making a mistake in their minds sets them back to day one of when they came to the first boxing class. I always say, like, sometimes you have a bad training session, and sometimes you just got to write it off and come back tomorrow night and have a better training session. And this isn't, just cliche think positive crap. Accept the fact that you've had a bad training session. Accept the fact that you did not do your best tonight, but do your best tomorrow night, and that will nullify it. And I think maybe that's the point you're touching on. And it's like seeing your progress. You can tell that it's not fake, and that it's not just pushed for the cameras, that you're genuinely trying every single day. And I love seeing you on social media. I love watching you acknowledge your lowest points. You're so you're so forthcoming about your lowest points, and it's not all sunshine and rainbows every day. And I'm looking at your what you put out there, and it's so real. I commend you on that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. I seen something the other day about that. It was like just talking about toxic positivity online from influencers and all this shit that's online, and it's just like, a couple of people have asked me, actually asked me, they didn't state it, but they were like, are you an influencer? And I'm like, no, not at all. I don't ever want to be. If there's a certain definition of influencer, I don't want to be that. You know what I mean? I'm just Graham. That's it. Or the real world Buddhist, or whatever name I come up with. But I think that there's just a lot of bullshit online. I think that the more you just be yourself and be human, people can kind of go, oh, they'll stop and question, oh, so this is different to the influencer I seen 2 minutes ago. What's going on here now? And even that cognitive dissonance that just went on there, that could change a life, because they could go, actually, I actually empathize more with this person who's being real. Maybe I'll put more of my time in there. And the content that I put out was and can be life-changing and life-saving, you know what I mean, for some people. And just on the point as well, with your fighters, I think that a mistake that I made when I was younger and in the prime of my career, MMA career, was that I put way too much focus and effort and expectation on winning. And if I did not win, oh, hang on a minute, I didn't win, so now I'm a loser. So I'm a bad person, a bad fighter. I'll just go destroy myself for drinking drugs right now. That was my problem. And over the years, I've started to kind of transcend my ego and just become more humble and reflective in general in life. And I wonder what it would have been like if I just put all my energy, attention, and focus on performing on the night. And if the judges said I won or not, I'd be accepting of either or. Yeah. If I put my focus on just performing, there's a big difference in that. If you put your focus and attention on winning, and you can apply that to training sessions, and what you're teaching your fighters is that if you hold an expectation of being the best you can every single night at training, you touched on this recently, they're called gym fighters. It's and then when the lights come out, it's like, oh no, I can't perform right now. I was doing so well, and then they lose on fight night, and it's like, hang on a minute, I'm doing so well in training, and now I fight and I lose. I'm like, oh no. And to be honest, I actually felt triggered when you said that, because I was a bit of a gym fighter. You know what I mean? I could put it on in the gym, and then I put it on a couple of nights, a good few nights in fights or whatever. But when those lights start to shine and the audience and the music, I was like, this is not training. This is a lot more in my head now. Yeah.
I talked about this with my wife at lunch about an hour ago. I said, I don't know if I should bring it up, but I'm going to talk about it now. I don't think that I don't think that was your fault, and I'm not blaming anybody from the gym. But when I started with jiu-jitsu competitions and the MMA leagues, and I was just this beginner, and I started climbing the steps until I got to MMA Fight Night, the MMA Clinic Fight Night in Rochestown. I don't know if you had a competition and they had you and Sean Tobin and all the guys on 96 FM, Red FM, the newspaper, up and coming, this and that. And I'm like, they haven't like done anything in a competition sense. And all of a sudden, bright lights, camera, you fought the same night as Conor McGregor in Neptune Stadium. Like that was a lot of pressure to put on a novice.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And I say that in my talks. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know, I just speak about, I suppose, the experience of Cage Warriors and, you know, fighting on the show and McGregor and all that. And I'm like, yeah, the biggest show in Europe. Let's throw him in there. And I was just like, no, that's not how it goes.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of pressure. And I think that, you know, again, to go back to the gym fighter point, it's like, yeah, like, who, you know who was in the background watching me. And he obviously just went, oh yeah, definitely, you can put it on in training. Yeah, okay, here's Cage Warriors. And it's like, no, you have to be battle tested. You have to, you know, like grassroots MMA is where it's at, like literally starting from the bottom.
Yeah.
And I think everyone wants to kind of jump ahead of themselves and, you know, take, you know, they were taking one step up the ladder, now they want 5 or 6, and then they get knocked back down, and it's like, oh, I belong at 1, you know. And I think that is what happened to me. You know, I just got completely manhandled that night, just out wrestled, just on my back. You know, this guy was in full mount for 3 rounds, and it was just like, ooh. Yeah. Luckily enough, I didn't take that too badly. I knew that there'd be more fights. I knew that, you know, even with the team that we had, it was like, everyone else is going to continue fighting. I'm going to do it, you know. And obviously then my career kind of took off. I think it was James Heelan after that. And that was a Rochestown Park fight night. I think it was number 2 or... That was one.
That was the first one.
That was the first one, was it?
Yeah, that was supposed to be... It was supposed to be a Cage Warriors event. But it was pulled last minute. There was issues with Cage Warriors. And they turned it into just the MMA Clinic fight night.
Yeah, I remember that now,
Yeah,
that was the one, yeah.
But that just shows you that, like, and we were all shocked that you lost that fight, and Tobin got the decision that went against him that everyone thought he won. But no one had ever seen you mounted for 3 rounds. No one had ever seen you get dominated like that. But that was not your... I will never blame you for that. That was not your fault. I think you were just pushed by the powers that be, and without a fight you're on newspapers and you're on the radio, and I'm like, hi, can I be on one of them please? You know?
Yeah, I know.
But none of
was it, I'm not too sure, but I think it was kind of mentioned to go from Cage Warriors to MMA leagues. Like, that's a big difference. And I was like, yeah, alright. And then I think the fight night came up.
Yeah, true.
I think, with James Heelan, I think,
That's right.
That's when Jake was there,
True, yeah. You caught James Heelan with an armbar, triangle?
Triangle armbar, yeah.
Triangle armbar, yeah, I remember that.
I just put it into the armpit and I went,
yeah.
That,
Beautiful. Yeah. I got a 29-20, was it 29-28? Yeah, 29-28 judge's decision. That was a good night. That was we had quite a few drinks in the bar that night.
Yeah. Those were the days as well, back in Rochestown Park.
Good times.
Residence bar, just everyone just shit-faced, like triangling each other in the corner and just like falling against pianos and...
Oh yeah, I could tell you some stories that will not make it on this podcast.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Good times. What else is there? Do you follow? Are you a follower of MMA, boxing, UFC? Like, what are you up to speed on everything right now?
Yeah, I'd be pretty much up to speed on things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. Like, to be honest, once UFC actually went ahead last year, I think I have to admit that kept me going through the lockdown. You know, it's something to look forward to. Almost, you know, there was 2-3 week periods there, and there was another show, and I was like, oh, I love this, you know. And I have to admit as well, Logan Paul and Mayweather got anything that grabbed my attention either good, bad, right or wrong, or indifferent, or an absolute shit show for boxing or MMA, I was glad of it. You know what I mean? It was something to look forward to. So I think that should speak volumes of, I still love the sport. I still love everything to do with combat in general, obviously boxing too.
Yeah.
But mainly UFC, pretty much up to date on it.
I'm kind of like, I don't get up and watch them anymore like I used to. As in, when I say get up and watch them, I mean have a Red Bull at midnight and stay up and watch them. But now with the time difference, it's actually working in our favor. Our kids get up religiously at 6 o'clock. They just like, they're get up. I've had enough sleep now. So it's like 6 o'clock here, and that's co-main event time. So I'll stick on co-main event here while I'm making breakfast, you know. But like something that stuck with me, like I was hoping not to mention Conor McGregor on this podcast, but something that stuck with me was when he was tweeting after the fight, he said, you all need me. And I thought that was a shitty thing to say. There's so much truth in what he's saying, because the level of excitement that he brings, no one else touches it. Not the John Jones stuff, not Francis Ngannou, nobody. You know?
No, nobody. No, none. And, you know, you can kind of... Look, we all have different... Anyone who follows the sport, we all have different opinions of him. We all have, you know... And our opinions change based on his behaviour here and there. But, there was talks of... I think it was bookies in Las Vegas. They had a couple of kind of big, I suppose they'd be like the CEOs of bookies or the owners or whatever, and they were just like, you know, we're thinking about making Conor McGregor an honorary Las Vegas icon. You know what I mean? Just what he brings to Las Vegas itself on fight night, they said you'll never ever match it. You know, and he was saying, like, you know, you could literally sell as much alcohol at like 4 in the day as you would at 4 in the morning. He said it's just crazy over there. You know what I mean? So. You know, I don't think anyone can ever bring what he brings to the sport, hype-wise, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll ever see it again either.
Yeah, they're trying to harness John Jones. They're trying to harness Francis Ngannou with the demands for more money. Obviously, fighter pay is a huge thing, but what got Conor McGregor to where he is, and the stature, the persona that he puts out to the world, it's all due to money. And they're trying to harness any potential future monster, you know.
Yeah, if you look at it as well, you know, like with Conor, it's like what got him further, his hands or his mouth. And I'd like to say his mouth.
100%.
Yeah, the guy is a genius. You know, a good few years back now when he started to go to America and stuff like that, I heard that he was like, you know, getting speaking coaches and stuff like that, just how to, you know, corral the crowd and get him on his side, his favor, sell tickets. Like, the guy at his core is a genius businessman, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He just so happens to have good hands as well. Well, a good left hand anyway.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I don't think he'll ever match it. The guy is a genius. Like, love him or hate him, you know, he said it anyway. You know, but love me or hate me, you're going to show up. You know what I mean? You're going to show up a fight night to watch me fight.
100%.
And
yeah.
I think it does wonders for the sport. I think what else I think does wonders for the sport at this minute is Jake Paul and his stepping on Dana White and being like, pay your fucking fighters.
That's absolutely true. I'm a huge fan of his and his message. The only problem is he's just doing it in the wrong way. He's just being a dick about it. You gotta, like, you've got this awesome message, put it out there properly, and you'll get way more fans. He's got a huge fan base, and I think he's satisfied with that. But if he just do it in a non-dickish way, then
fan base, 13-year-old girls from YouTube, I don't know.
I guess that's true. But do you watch Impulsive, their podcast?
Yeah, I watch it the odd time, depending on kind of who they have on, or, you know, what their topic is in general,
Once they cut the bullshit, they're actually pretty funny guys. You know, that's the thing. And I'm looking at them going, you could do so much and get people like me on your side, you know? But when you like the pendulum, the pendant with Conor's broken leg, that was genius, you know. But when you hear things like their message and what they're doing for Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley, these guys are getting huge paydays now, And, you know, obviously fighter pay is a huge topic for discussion. No one forced you to sign the contract, but fighter pay, that's what has led to this. They want to get their fighters paid. These fighters go in and go around, 5-6 rounds with these guys, and they come out making bank.
Yeah, you can even see it with Tyron Woodley. It was just like, not that he was chatting shit about Dana or the UFC, he was just like, I'm going to go over here. You know, like,
yeah.
I think unfortunately, either fortunately or unfortunately, I think it's just going to be a cycle where it's fighter crossing over all the time to take on these dudes. I don't think Jake Paul he's up for, you know, actual boxers themselves. You know, I think, you know, even if you look at Fury's brother there, Tyson Fury's brother, I can't think of his name, but his opponent's records was like, you know, their losses on their records when they fought him combined was absolutely crazy, and it's like, I don't know, it was like 24 and 465 or something like that. It was just like, no, dude, you're not, like, no, just no, you know. So he was like, he'd probably fight him, but like, he's just not willing to take on boxers at this point. You know, he calls himself a boxer, but he's taking on MMA athletes. I know it's in boxing, but you know, like, you know, you have to, it's one or the other, dude. And as I said, unfortunately, like, okay, people are getting paid for this, you know. And look, I don't hate Jake Paul, I don't dislike him, he just is what he is, you know what I mean? Like, I watch him if he fights, that's it. But like, he's another intelligent dude. He's business savvy. He's, you know, he's all about that money and all that, but he knows how to get it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if some, you know, MMA fighters, particularly UFC fighters, if they were just able to take a few nuggets from him and throw it in there. I mean, you can see with John Jones, you know, like trying to push for, what was it, 10 million or something like that?
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know, 10 million, I don't know, but like, you could literally, like, anything that what UFC fighters are getting right now is good. You know, it's just what they sacrifice, the things they do. Like, we know from even fighting in the amateur days, it's just like, what we sacrificed there to even put on an amateur fight was just crazy. You know what I mean?
Insane.
So I can just,
I'll never do that again. I would never encourage anybody to do it that way, the way we did it.
The way we did it, no, that was lunacy. That was just no.
Were you there the night that Jake put, or maybe I don't know which one put who, but Jake and Kieran were in the cage and they both flew out through the cage because the cage pressure on the cage was so intense?
No, I didn't. No.
I think one of them was going. Kieran's wrestling was phenomenal, and obviously Jake being a wrestler as well. But they ran each other into the cage, and the cage wall came out of the zip ties on the top of the cage railing.
I'd imagine so, yeah. That was crazy.
I remember just this boxing class is full of novices just stopping and watching us spar as well. It was just like, can you guys focus? We're
Yeah. Oh, over here.
Yeah.
No, I want to watch this. Two wrestlers going at it. Yeah, no, the sparring that we had was just epic. It really was. And like, even when we would spar, when we had Jake Hecht, when we would spar, and then we all think, we're finished tonight. It was hard night's training. He was like, right, we're going for sprints. And we'd go out the front and we'd be like, oh God. We'd run like 600 meters in 3 minutes, and if one of you didn't get it, we'd all have to start all over again. And it was just like, I was just on the verge of breaking mentally. Just any way you could break, I was breaking.
Yeah, that's what made me a man. That was my turning point, you know. The 600s were the worst experience because it was never just 600. It was, you do your 6, but you lose the time. You don't get back in your 3 minutes. We're going again, and we're going again.
Yeah.
Disaster.
Yeah. And I think it's that kind of stuff is what I bring into my training now as well. You know, even if I'm going for a run or whatever, like, I go into deep waters. I do, and if I'm lifting, I lift heavy. You know what I mean? If I'm rolling, I'll be asking for extra rounds. You know what I mean? Like, that has served me very well in life. You know what I mean? And anytime, you know, if someone asks me, you know, who were your coaches before, or, you know, and it does come up in conversation. Like, the very first person I think of is Jake Hecht. And the reason he stands out is that just what he put us through, conditioning-wise, mentally, you know, physically, it was just like, all the other coaches were amazing. You know, Justin Robbins, Noah Thomas, Ryan Schultz, you know, Nick Laney, they were all unbelievable, but just for me, Jake stands out the most, and it's just because of that, just where he brought us mentally, you know, and as I said, that still carries over to this day, you know. I don't picture Jake beside me at times, you know, I couldn't do that. Jake is standing there, I'd be like, no. It's just conditioned into you, you know. I don't need to picture Jake shouting at me, nothing. It just happens, you know. And, I'm very appreciative of that.
I just remember hearing his voice every time I was down, like, get up, like, you know, American accent. You can always, it pinches through a crowd. Get up. You're just trying to get your breath back, you know what I mean? But I just, like, for me, Justin was the one who gave me the boots, and Jake was the one who showed me how to run, you know. It was just like, that's, I just look back on 2011 as the year that I became a man, you know. But it was a phenomenal experience. I look back on my pictures regularly just to remember specific moments in that gym and the friendships that we have, like you and me talking now. We haven't talked in years face to face or on the phone, and I'm talking to you like we just had a session, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Oh, that was a tough one, Dave. Yeah, no, it just, I just love it, man. I just, as I said, like, you know, I brought it up now a couple of times, and obviously you have as well, and I'm still kind of lost for words, you know, to what we actually went through in them days, you know, and it is something you have to experience. If people dropped the judgment a little more and allowed themselves to experience combat sports, you know, I think we'd be a different world. 100%,
man, especially with kids. Just the first thing I want to do with my girls is get them training, get them learning how to defend themselves, because you never know, man. It's a topic that we can't discuss now, but you want your kids to be safe. You want your friends to be safe. If I've got loads of like friends who are girls who, hey, do you know how to defend yourself if a guy comes out of the shadows and you're walking home a little drunk on a Saturday night? You know, it just takes one guy, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. And like, even before I started, you know, training and stuff like that, like, as I said, you know, I built up a persona because I was actually very insecure underneath. I was fearful of the world in general, you know, and I think that since I started training martial arts and just going through combat sports, like, you literally train martial arts so you don't have to fight. You know what I mean? Because, like, you're literally just going, no, I could probably hurt someone here. No, I'm not. And, you know, I'm going to be humble, respectful, and I'm going to just walk away, you know? I'm speaking about myself here now. This isn't advice to anyone listening, right?
Yeah.
Just speaking for myself. But, like, I've seen a massive change in who I was before I started MMA and who I am now, in the way that when I walk down the street. Before, I would kind of go down different avenues and kind of like shy away from crowds, and now I'm just like, there's no ego there. I'm very humble, but there's no fear. There's slight confidence, and that confidence will go up depending on the situation that I experience. You know what I mean? Like, I literally, when I heard someone say years ago, like, you know, it was like a tough guy on the street that I used to hang around with, like, I don't fear anyone. I'd be like, you have to fear someone, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? But I've actually gotten to that point now. His was from ego. Mine is not, though. Mine is from training martial arts and putting in the practice, testing it at times at MMA and competing. And now I'm settled in life, and I'm just confident. You know, if something was to kick off down the street and I have to defend myself or someone, I'd probably go into that with a bit of a smile and be like,
here we go.
You know what I mean? Yeah, here we go. But again, I'm a martial artist. I'm respectful, I'm humble. I tend to read situations, I believe, pretty well. If defense is needed, if self-defense is needed and appropriate, then yeah, of course. You know what I mean? I just go around hitting people, or, you know, oh, I train martial arts, and like, no, the ego's gone, you know.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that. There's such a transformation internally inside me since training martial arts.
Yeah, that kind of parallels with something Jordan Peterson said. He was like, people are being kind of conditioned now to be, you know, less forthcoming and be more reserved. And he says, no, I think you should be a monster and learn how to control it. I think that's...
you know, I'm laughing, Dave. What I have on my board there, right, on my whiteboard, I have like my goals and all that kind of stuff. It says, you owe it to yourself and Kayla to be a fucking savage at all times. That's what I have on my whiteboard.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is gold. Can you send me a picture of that, and I'll edit that in?
Yeah, I will indeed. Yeah.
Oh man, that is badass.
Every morning. Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. That's good for me, man. Anything you want to promote? Anything that you're doing right now that you want to say?
Not really. Just kind of, I'm just continuing with my talks. Years of mental health, addiction, personal development, and if anyone's listening and they're possibly interested in that, I do give a free consultation where we can just have a conversation over Zoom, phone call, whatever you want, and we can just chat about what your business, your school, or wherever the talk may be is experiencing at the minute, and I can tailor make a talk or workshop based on that. So if people want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Thrive Talks Facilitation. I'm also under that name on Facebook, Thrive Talks Facilitation, and we can just chat from there.
Sounds good, man. You send me those links and I'll put them on the podcast here.
I will indeed, dude. I appreciate that.
Awesome, man. Nice one. Graham, thank you very much for joining us.
I enjoyed the shit out of that, Dave. I really did.
We'll do it again. Thanks again, and we'll be in touch.
Legend.
Rock and roll, bro. All right, so that was Graham. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was awesome. It was great to see him. It was great to talk to him. Follow him on social media. Go follow his path. Go check out his pre and post pictures from recovery. Again, a true inspiration. It was a pleasure to have him on. I'm sure we'll have him on again because you don't just have one person on when the conversation is that interesting. You got to keep that rolling. So yeah, we'll have Graham on again. Absolutely. Right, guys, I need you to subscribe. I'm going to keep saying it. As I said, my goal, 1 million followers. So I need you to hit that subscribe button. Thanks very much for listening. And I wish you guys a very pleasant rest of the week / weekend / rest of the month, etc. Thank you very much again, guys. Take care. Bye.